Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to This Week in Karting. It is February 20th, 2024. I am David Cole, going to be joined by Nate Dean as we are providing you episode 75 of our podcast show. Again, This Week in Karting provides you all the major news that has hit the EKN homepage over the past couple of weeks. It has been roughly about a month since we had our last podcast. We had a couple back-to-back trackside weekends that has kept us busy, and of course, catching up and getting ready for those trips have delayed in recording our podcast of This Week in Karting, where, again, we're trying to give you all the major news and notes from the sport of karting. Great for listening at home, on the way or to home from work, etc., in the garage, anywhere you can get your podcast while you're working out, etc. So with that, we'll get into this episode, which is presented by Factory Karts. Made in the USA, it's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by four-time Super Nationals champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at their Riverside, California facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email Billy anytime at info@factorykarts.com. So, Nate, it has been since January 22nd, 2024, where we recorded episode 74. It's been a busy month, traveling, and of course, once getting back into the home office, with a lot going on with the sport. We're just wrapping up 6 straight weeks of karting in the state of Florida as well.
Yeah, I mean, since the start of the year, you had the first weekend off, and then ever since then, it's been either Winter Series for SCUSA, Rotax, or Florida Winter Tour. So it's been a pretty busy schedule for people, including Challenge of the Americas on the West Coast. So not a lot of time to lay back and breathe, but finally a bit of an off weekend for most teams as the pro season is going to be coming around the corner in the next few weeks here.
Yeah, not really an off weekend because we got Road Tax Racing and Texas Sprint Racing Series happening, both in NOLA Motorsports Park for the Texas program, and Phoenix Kart Racing Association hosting the Race Road Tax U.S. Trophy West Series. So again, and then we're right back into it next weekend. Me and Rob will be trackside for Challenge of America's second stop at Tucson, and then we'll get into the Superkarts USA Pro Tour right after that. So it's just, again, like we saw last year, nonstop during the first few months of the year, and more is expected in 2024 for sure. And something that's not starting until April this year. Last year they started, or last few years they've been starting in March. The United States Pro Kart Series, they shifted their schedule to kind of get off all the winter stuff and are starting in April when we head to the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas for their 2024 opener. And United States Pro Kart Series just announced the prize package for the 2024 season, highlighted by the pro categories getting a pretty hefty chunk of cash prizes for their one main event on the weekend.
Yeah, like you said, a bit of an increase there. Pro classes have a bit of a split: $5,000 going down the order, $5,000, $3,500, and then $2,000 for each weekend. And then another thing being added on is IME Warrior final tickets towards the championship prize package for those in Mini, X30 Junior, and X30 Pro. So kind of the same thing that you see on the Rotax side of things, USPKS doing that with their further involvement with the IAME factory this year. Same with SCUSA with those Warrior final tickets being awarded.
Yeah, it was missing from USPKS, I think, last year. I don't think they had any of those tickets already available. Nobody was really using them, and that's something we've seen over the last couple of years. So I know IAME Factory is really trying to promote the United States drivers getting back to the IAME Warrior Final, which is their kind of world championship style event This last year, I believe, moved to Valencia, and it's going to returning once again to Valencia. So moved away from Le Mans, France, where we saw, I think nearly every year it was there, we saw some kind of rain over and over. We had Brent Cruz winning there. We had Brandon Lemke do really well over there. David Malukas, IndyCar driver, winning over there. I think almost now 10 years ago, I think 2014 might've been the year he won there. So US has been a prominent fixture at the event, but over the last couple of years, it really hasn't been. So I think getting these tickets and wrapping up our championships early enough so these champions or drivers who select the tickets will be able to go. Hopefully we'll see more USA driver involvement moving forward. USPKS continuing to shell out money. They got over 50,000 in contingency prizes. I think the total for their program is well over the 150,000 mark, including the new Geo Cup Team Championship. Normally, the top team would receive a trophy. This year, United States Pro Kart Series is adding $5,000 to the top team in 2024. So certainly interesting to see that added with USPKS. But again, they will be kicking things off in April once we get to the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. Another program that is working with another international program is Race Rotax. They are working with the XGEL driver exchange program to Japan, moving into the U.S. Trophy Series programs that will be starting up here pretty soon. That includes sending a Mini Max, a Junior Max, and Senior Max driver to compete at the Max Champ Series in Japan. So, Nate, this is an opportunity where we normally send drivers to Europe. This is going the opposite direction. This is sending drivers to Asia and going to race against the best Rotax racers in Japan, where they've had a number of drivers do very well in the Rotax Max Challenge program.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, with a lot of our talent going over to Europe, a lot of European talent coming over here, you see that quite often in pretty much any major karting series you go to. You don't see a lot of our drivers or their drivers from the eastern side of things, from the Asian continent. You don't see a ton of representation there or any of our drivers wanting to race over there. So it's a really cool opportunity from Rotax to allow at least our drivers a bit of a new experience, maybe a bit of different racing over there compared to what they might find in Europe or in the US, but a unique opportunity for sure. Not something I've seen in the years of following the sport from my end. So definitely be cool for those drivers to get the opportunity.
Yeah, we kind of see a couple drivers from the Asia countries come over to compete in the U.S. We've seen a number of them moving to Europe and racing there. Some, calling the UK home. Some, I think, in the UAE as well too. But it'll be great to see. So 3 drivers, Mini Max, Junior Max, and Senior Max, one from each category, going to be representing U.S. at the Max Champ Series. In return, 3 top-ranked drivers from Japan will be coming over to compete at the U.S. Trophy Final in August. So I think that's going to be a really cool scenario to see is drivers from Japan coming over, and it could be some of the drivers you might see at the Rotax Grand Finals too, depending on who they do send over. As Japan has had a regular solid crew of drivers going over to compete at the Rotax Grand Finals. Among those in the driver search here for the United States is Alessandro Brizan. Some of you from the sport may know him from years past. He used to be a J3 competition comp kart driver, winning in USPKS and other programs as well. And he's been on a lot of car racing over the last several years. So he's going to be part of the driver search along with Ukio Sashihara, I want to say. I've never heard his name. Aside from the fact that the Rotax Grand Finals, he won in 2009 and 2011 in Junior Max competition. So it has been a long time since I've heard the name actually pronounced properly. So he is a car driver as well too. So he's going to be part of the driver search as well. So certainly, when I talk about Japan having a good solid Rotax participation and experience, Cesara certainly does have that with two grand final victories in 2009 and 2011. And again, the West Series, as we mentioned earlier, begins this weekend at the Phoenix Kart Racing Association. So you still have a couple days to get over there and be part of the U.S. Trophy Series West program. With that, we'll head into our first commercial break. And when we return, we'll talk Nitro Kart, the Skip Barber Formula Race Series, and Stockholm Karting Center after this.
Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. It all started in 1994, when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a sealed Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the 2024 season include the Ignite Majors, which began with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway in December as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week as part of both the sprint and road race events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, which features 12 races at 6 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in other states all across the country, from Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite Karting program every year. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion.
And welcome back to episode 75 of This Week in Karting. It is February 20th, 2024. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we are again bringing you the major news that has hit the EKN homepage over the past couple of weeks, basically a month since our last show, which we recorded towards the end of January. Getting into some more news and notes regarding the industry, Nitro Kart is reestablishing their race team and looking at competing in the 2024 Cup Karts North America program. Nate, this is a pretty cool kind of getting back into it that we're seeing from Nitro Kart, as they're going to be as owner Nick Tucker and his crew are getting back into hosting a race team, this time focused solely on 4-cycle racing.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, a lot of big names in karting have come out of that team, with Brent Cruz, Connor Zilish, both of them finding some success in car racing, and then the likes of Hayden Jones, who no matter what weekend or what track configuration you put him at, he's always going to be quick in X30 competition. But it's cool to see them coming back. They still have a lot of representation in the cadet side of things. Those Nitro Kart chassis are still doing pretty well. They've fallen off a little bit in the junior and senior side of representation, but good to see them reestablishing themselves in CKNA and the South Series, which ultimately is a series that's growing. So really good place for them to get back into the game.
Yeah, getting reestablished with the South Division, which was already held the Winter Nationals at NOLA Motorsports Park, and Jacksonville, their second stop, and then heading up to the Atlanta Motorsports Park here, I believe at the end of April. But before that, they'll be going to basically a home racetrack, Charlotte Motor Speedway, for the Spring Nationals, which again is setting record numbers and could exceed what we saw from Grand National 7 here in October, with the amount of entries that they're receiving for the event. But Nitro Kart going to be a big part of that. Led by Cody Johnson, leading the race team, along with new driver coach Eric Fagan, who we've seen with MGM and a number of other programs. So a good combination there. Cody Johnson still continuing to work on the 2-cycle side of things, which is a relationship with Ryan Perry Motorsport, going to SCUSA, USPKS, and other events that the Ryan Perry Motorsport tent does follow. So Johnson will continue to work with the 2-cycle drivers on that side with RPM, and then kind of lead the things for the 4-cycle race team alongside Eric Fagan. Again, arrive and drive, tent space, transport, and coaching, all available through the Nitro Kart race team. With that, we'll head into some progression information. Carter's added to the 2024 Skip Barber Formula Race Series grid. We just penned an article last week talking about a few drivers that are graduating from the sport of karting into the car racing, which the Skip Barber Formula Race Series or the racing schools are the best way to utilize that jump. Oliver Weldon, the younger brother of Sebastian Weldon, who just won last year's Skip Barber Formula Race Series program, he's going to be going into the USF Juniors program in 2024. So Oliver trying to follow suit, along with California driver Ryan Gianetta. Gianetta is a GFC driver and Formula Works driver as well too. So he's making the jump into Formula Cars in 2024, along with Canadian Caleb Campbell, jumping into the Formula Race Series. And Nate, they're racing for a pretty prestigious prize to being part of the Skip Barber Formula Race Series.
Yeah, and the $100,000 scholarship won't be too bad as well. A lot of really, really talented drivers have come out of the Skip Barber ranks, Joseph Newgarden, just to name one. So a really, really solid place for young drivers to really make that move from karts to cars and get used to mainly the Formula 4 machinery that these guys will be utilizing in the Formula Race Series this season. A pretty jam-packed calendar from them, visiting a lot of iconic tracks. Sebring starting things off in the first weekend of March, heading over to NOLA Motorsports Park in April. Circuit the Americas in May, VIR, the full course in June, heading to Road America August, Lime Rock Park also in August, and then VAR Grand Course to finish off things, which is really a tour of all the best facilities in the US. So a little bit jealous for those drivers, but should be interesting to see some of the familiar faces that we've seen in karting and how they fare in Formula racing.
Yeah, the and not going too far west. I think they had Laguna Seca in last year, so that I think that's the only one that when you say iconic racetrack, I think that's the only one really missing from this schedule. But yeah, getting things kicked off next week in Sebring for the opener of the 2024 Skip Barber Formula Race Series. Again, 7 weekends, 14 races is what I recall that being. A really solid program. And again, all racing to be champion of 2024 and win that $100,000 scholarship to compete in the 2025 USF Juniors program. Nate, we'll get into kind of home news for you as new owner for Stockholm Karting Center, as kart lift owner Ted Fashing taking over ownership of Stockholm Karting Center.
Yeah, and this is something that's been in the works for a while for Ted, originally owned by John Miller, who, if that name is kind of recognizable to you, he's part owner of an IMSA team that run in GTP and the Michelin Pilot Challenge, as well with one of the Porsches and an Audi and Michelin Pilot. Track was originally built in 2002 with John Miller and a few other names. Kenny Venberg, one of them, bit of a legendary track designer here in the Midwest. Or if you've driven, if you're a North American karter who's pretty well versed, you've probably driven on one of his circuits. Track is about 45 minutes west of the Twin Cities, almost 3/4 of a mile layout, 14 corners. But on the acquisition side of things, Ted bought Stockholm Karting Center on the business side a few years ago, and now fully owning the land and the business on both sides, along with Kartlift that he took over from Tim Coyan just a few years ago. So really exciting stuff for him and all of those at Stockholm Karting Center, who will be participating in a 9-week, 18-race track held series utilizing 4 layouts or so. So exciting times here in Minnesota, especially for someone who only lives about 5 minutes away from the track. Ted's someone who really, really cares about the track and is pretty well respected by everyone there. So some very, very positive news.
Yeah, what's kind of been the local feedback? Just all positive from those who race at the racetrack and kind of the future of karting in the area.
The feedback's been positive, but it's not been. Ted has run this and been so involved as a general manager before this that a lot of people look to him as the owner. And I think a lot of people, obviously, like I said, see how much he cares, see how much time he puts into Stockholm and Kartlift and a couple of his other ventures. So now for him to have full control of that, I think a lot of people trust where he's going to bring the track, bring that race series that is run there, and a lot of positive outlook going into the future for this.
Awesome. Good to hear. Excited. And again, because again, the racetracks are what we have and what we need in order to compete at. And so that being what I think the lone karting track in Minnesota that I'm pretty sure I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause I think the other one was in Wisconsin. That was just shut down a couple of years ago. That was the only one that was closer to the Minneapolis area. So, that's great to hear. And again, I hope to go to that racetrack because again, the view of it is just phenomenal to be able to look down at the racetrack. I think again, a lot of people take that for granted, and it's a very cool. And the other racetrack that oh my gosh, I can't think of his name that designed the racetrack.
Kenny Venberg.
Kenny Venberg.
Yeah.
The other notable racetrack is Shawano, the racetrack in Shawano, Wisconsin. He actually designed that one as well too. And I think, again, if you ask anybody the best racetrack they've ever been on, best designed racetrack, it's Shawano, Wisconsin. And I think so that says a lot for the Stockholm racetrack itself too, without even going there and seeing it firsthand. So that's my little tidbit for that racetrack. But with that, we'll head into our next commercial break, and we'll get into some news about Amarillo Kart Complex and a new chassis from the OTK Kart Group.
What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success. It is Sodi Kart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about Sodi Kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry.
Wins in the sport's biggest races and championships in national and regional series all over the country, they're all on Nitro Kart's growing resume. Nitro Kart continues to make its statement as the best, fastest, and winningest cadet chassis on the American market. In 2021, Nitro Kart won the 3 biggest crowns in America in the Microswift division, with Mateo Rosu in the SCUSA Pro Tour and both the Super Nationals and the USPKS titles with Keelan Harvick. At the Super Nats alone, 3 of the top 5 drivers on the podium got there on a Nitro Kart. The results are clear. If you want to win in cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join our team. At Nitro Kart, we're all about driver development. Nick Tucker and the Nitro Crew's racing resumes are extensive, and their passion for helping our kids learn is unparalleled. Racing is about consistent learning, and that's what we're all about here at Nitro Kart. Never wanting to quit, we've continued to extend the reach of our driver development program. In addition to expanding into the junior and senior karting categories, we've also launched Nitro Motorsports, which will field 2 cars this season in the Trans Am by Pirelli series, one being piloted by karting champion Brent Cruz. Not only can we develop your young driver, but we can also provide the platform if a move to cars is in your plan. And our second seat is available. If you're serious about your driver's career, contact us today.
CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready for the 2022 season with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. CRG Nordam is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, CRG Nordam supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 is our new chassis for tag and shifter racing, and it's been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 features 30mm construction with a 32mm front loop to increase front grip. CRG's new VEN 13 brake system is cutting-edge technology with a master cylinder that allows for pressure regulation within the system. Drivers can customize brake pressure to their own requirements to improve feel and to avoid brake lockup. The kart is finished with new KG 507, 508 bodywork that has refined aerodynamics and reduced weight. For cadet drivers, the 2022 CRG Black Mirror is already logging positive results to start the new season. This chassis will be making big waves in 2022. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know that the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, is still available. With 4-cycle racing enjoying consistent growth in North America, CRG's FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. CRG Nordam has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to www.kartcrg.com, and to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at info@kartcrg-nordam.com.
Welcome back to episode 75 of This Week in Karting. It is February 20th, 2024, as myself, David Cole, and Nate Dean are bringing you all the major news and notes from the EKN homepage and the sport itself over the last couple weeks, basically a month since our last show. Among that is the new distribution of TB kart chassis product and rental kart lines. Amarillo Kart Complex expands network of distribution for TB Kart and Race Lab. So this is a kind of a gathering relationship between TB Kart factory in Italy, Race Lab here, which is the North American distributor for the TB Kart brand, and the Amarillo Kart Complex, which is based in Panhandle, Texas. Again, everybody in the sport has been aware of the Amarillo Kart Complex becoming a very popular destination, now owned by Kyle Yashinsky and his family, as they're going all in on the sport of karting and bringing in the TB kart program along with the TB R25 rental karts and the full line of competition TB kart models available all through Amarillo Kart Complex. They are going to be working alongside Race Lab, who does their own race team, but Amarillo Kart Complex will also be focused really on the southern part of the United States, including the Texas Sprint Racing Series. So they will be providing or setting up a race team that will be there this weekend at the NOLA Motorsports Park. So expect to see a lot of TB Kart Green going around this weekend. So Nate, this is a good expansion for the TB Kart brand and Race Lab.
Yeah, cool to see even more chassis representation, especially with TB Kart, who and Race Lab been slowly but steadily building up their momentum and building up the people that really see that kart as an option to go to, with the might of OTK and Burrell and other chassis manufacturers that most people will look to when wanting to buy their next chassis. TB Kart and Race Lab have really put their name into that mix. Like you said, with them going to TSRS, them signing a quote factory drivers from both sides of things. Alex Stanfield is going to be involved in that program, I believe, on the 2-cycle side of things, and then Jerry Fandry on the 4-cycle side of racing. So two very, very quick and talented drivers that now will find TB Kart and Race Lab home.
Yeah, excited to see what kind of results they were able to muster up at NOLA Motorsports Park this weekend for the Texas Sprint Racing Series opener. Excuse me. Next on the docket is the Carlos Sainz. I believe we know his name from Formula One, if I recall. He and the OTK Kart Group are presenting the new CS55 racing kart. So very similar to what we've seen with Lando Norris and the LN Racing Kart. We are now getting with Carlos Sainz and the OTK Kart Group with their own essentially chassis branding with the CS55 label on these that are going to be black, red, and yellow focused in color. So certainly a different look and concept that you're not familiar to see with the OTK chassis lines for sure. Nate, obviously Carlos Sainz, a very popular Formula One driver racing with Ferrari now. And correct? Yeah. Why am I blanking on that?
Yeah, for now, not for much longer.
Yes,
but
yes, that's true. Sorry, it's not 2025 yet. That's right. But no different than his Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc, have his own chassis through Burrell Art brand. So it's, I'm shocked we don't have 20 different chassis brands from all of the current Formula One drivers. Like maybe that's what this whole Formula One karting thing is trying to shoot for, and getting maybe all these guys to have their own brands. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely not something that was expected to add another line to the OTK line of products, but you have to think in at least Spanish Formula racing series for karting. There's just going to be the Fernando Alonso Kart Republics and the Carlos Sainz OTKs, and it's probably just going to be those two for the entirety of the country. Cool to see, though, a bit of a different design language, at least on the graphic side of things, not much on the chassis. But it's cool to see the major racing drivers getting their own chassis, like you said, with Lando, now Carlos. Fernando used to have one with OTK, now switching over to Kart Republic. The likes of like Robert Kubica, Daniel Ricciardo had chassis with Burrell. Lewis Hamilton had one with CRG for a very short time.
Yep.
That kind of went under the rug, but I think it's cool to see. It definitely will. I think a lot of people in the Spanish market will probably get into that, and then anyone who's a Ferrari fan, wherever you are, might want to make the switch from whatever OTK or whatever chassis brand you are now to move to that CS55 kart. So it's all just preference, really, for that, but it's still cool to see Carlos having an investment in karting still.
Yeah, he does have some time with the OTK Kart Group, a CIKFI Asia Pacific champion in 2018 and winner of the Monaco Kart Cup back in 2009. So again, does have the relationship with the OTK brand. The CS55 will be 30 millimeter frame for single speed and shifter competition. So no cadet sizes, I don't believe, is what the release was saying. So again, we'll have to get with OTK USA for more information about when that'll be, if it'll be readily available here in the United States. Very similar to the LN racing kart. Gillard is obviously a newer brand for the OTK brand market. Adding along with the EOS, Esprit, Cosmic, Tony Kart, and Red Speed. So with that, we'll head into our final commercial break, and we'll get into ECAN editorial, ECAN podcast review, ECAN radio network, and what's coming on ECAN after this.
Is IndyCar your dream? If it is, for 2024 and beyond, the path from karting to IndyCar has gotten even clearer. It's time to look into the new USF Juniors program and the Tatis JR23. As a first step of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tires, the USF Juniors Series will feature a 6-event, 13-race schedule to train racers for the move into the USF 2000 Championship presented by Continental Tires. 3 of the events in 2024 will run alongside IndyCar at Mid-Ohio, Road America, and Portland. The champion will win a scholarship worth over $263,000, and there's a total prize fund that will exceed $330,000. The series utilizes the state-of-the-art Tatis JR23 race car, which is a development version of the USF 22 used in USF 2000. It's the ideal entry point for career-minded karters moving into the car racing ladder. Safety is always front and center in the minds of the series promoters, and the new USF Juniors car also features the Halo, and races are supported by members of the AMR IndyCar safety team. If IndyCar is your goal, USF Juniors is the starting line. For more information, visit www.usfjuniors.com and follow USF Juniors on social media. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter car drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels in the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has a unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Welcome back to our final segment of episode 75 of This Week in Karting. It is February 20th, 2024. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as again, we are bringing you news and notes from the sport of karting. And we are now into the ECAN editorial segment, which we had a lot of articles written up over the last month, including ECAN Promoter Series 2024, which we talked with Brittany Lobaugh of the Texas Sprint Racing Series program that will kick off this weekend. So got the lowdown and information about that program coming up for the 2024 season. All the recent WSK Supermaster Series race reports have been published, round 1, round 2, and round 3. Interesting note about round 2 is we did get to see an American driver at the top of the podium, Lucas Palacio, winning in the Mini U10 category in round number 2. Nate, I got update. He was unable to compete in round 3, got involved in a practice accident, took himself to the medical facilities and returned the following day to try and compete. Unfortunately, they did not have a release to compete. The doctors had a 10-day hold on that. So unfortunately, Palacio was not able to get back behind the wheel that weekend. Hoping to make the series finale here coming up soon once that hold does lift on that. So we're starting to see a number of Americans, Alessandro Truchot, Canadian Rocco Simone, doing very well in WSK competition.
Yeah, a lot of U.S. representation and kind of the younger classes. A few of them having some experience last year over in Europe, but with moving to any new series, and especially moving to a new series that's overseas with brand new tracks that probably most of these guys have never heard of before, it's going to take a little bit of time to grow yourself as a driver and just to learn the racing, the tracks, the tires, just everything about this series and how it runs. So a lot of them finding some success in the early stages of 2024, and you have to think that we're going to see some more American flags on the top step of the podium in WSK as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that and the CIK, FIA programs and all that this summer, how well the North American contingent can do in 2024. The Road Tax Winter Trophy race reports are up. As we talked about, that wrapped up the month of January and opened up February with their back-to-back weekends at Orlando Kart Center. So make sure you get on the homepage to check that out, along with our trackside coverage from Challenge of the Americas T1 and the finale for the Superkarts USA Winter Series, which was AMR 2. All that coverage is available on the website. And speaking of Kart Lift, we did a product spotlight on the Kart Lift Winch Lift, which is, again, the one-person kart stand, allowing you to lift your cart up and put it back down on the ground all by yourself using the mechanical winch that is mounted with the cart lift. That's something that a lot of drivers who don't have a pit crew utilize throughout their career for sure. And then today we're publishing the driver of the month for January 2024. That is Diego Ardiles. Certainly Ardiles taking over as the lead junior driver with Rollison Performance Group, Nate. That's a new role that he's picked up very well.
Yeah, Rolson just has this way of developing junior drivers into really unstoppable forces in the junior categories, with Gafera, then Ernesto Rivera, who's now running over in Europe in the Formula Winter Series, doing fairly well over there. Currently sets P10 in the standings after races at Jerez and Valencia, and as the third best placed rookie. So that says a lot for Rolson and their development. And now Diego, who has had a very, very strong 2024. He had a really solid 23 as well, with him learning off of the other drivers in the RPG tent, especially Ernesto, having a couple wins here and there throughout the season and a lot of solid podium finishes. And now he's kind of the head driver of the junior ranks, and he's been running with that title so far. In any junior race that we've had, it seems to be him who's up there and fighting for it with a couple other guys. But he's been so impressive in the early stages of 2024, and to think about just how dominant he's been, and we're not even at the end of February, you got to think he's going to have a couple championships and more race wins coming his way in 2024.
Yeah, picked up the Superkarts USA Winter Series Championship this month, wrapping up the X30 program or championship there, and was second in the KA Junior Division, and picking up where he left off. I think picked up 2 victories at this past weekend's Florida Winter Tour. So a solid start to the 2024 season for Diego Ardiles. Next up is our EKN podcast review, talking about the recent shows, all available through iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, and anywhere else you may download your podcasts. So make sure you subscribe to EKN Radio Network, or again, give us a review. So again, This Week in Karting episode 74 from January 22nd is available for download, including our Outlap and Debrief podcast from Challenge of the Americas T1, and our Outlap and Debrief podcast for the Superkarts USA Winter Series finale at the AMR Motorplex in Homestead, Florida. The EKN Radio Network is the only 24-hour, 7 days a week channel dedicated to the sport of karting. You can hear this episode of This Week in Karting playing on the EKN Radio Network. That'll be coming up, of course, on today's Tuesday, so on Wednesday the 21st, and then we'll have it available for podcast after that. And we'll continue to play our rewinds, playing all the old live broadcasts that we have done in the past. And we are working on our next roundtable. We have a couple topics that we have kind of narrowed it down to, and maybe hopefully we'll be able to get that on the schedule very soon. So for you to be able to listen to, again, watch on the YouTube channel and be able to listen on the EKN Radio Network. So with that, we will head into what's coming on EKN. As we mentioned already, we'll be trackside live for the second stop of the Challenge of the Americas on March 1st through the 3rd, returning back to the Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona for what will be T2 event. Again, the Challenge of the Americas will be hosting the 3rd and 4th rounds of the winter program in Tucson, Arizona. A lot to be decided there with the middle rounds of that championship. And then we'll wrap things up there and head back to home for a couple days before I head down to Orlando Kart Center for the opening rounds of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, hosting the Winter Nationals down there in Orlando, Florida on March 8th through the 10th. So Nate, another back-to-back couple of weekends for myself. Again, Challenge Americas got all 6 programs returning. Again, we just published that engine distribution or selection that a lot of the drivers have. That was we got some pretty good feedback on that. What's kind of your thoughts on that independent program that the Challenge of America has been just after the first weekend that they've had?
I mean, yeah, talking about the engine, the allocations and all that, it was mean, cool to see and cool to build that graphic and seeing the diversity of different people going with different engines. And it's cool to see a race series allowing that between the obviously different engines, excuse me, that they were running. So it's not just, which chassis is quickest on which track, what team it is. It also brings in that engine factor too. So it's just really cool to see from Coda, with the competition being so close as of late, especially at Tucson 1. Looking forward to going back to the quote unquote regular layout of Tucson that you guys are so used to. So yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that.
Yeah, excited to get back to the normal direction that we are going to be going back in Tucson. And then the 15th season of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, hosting the Winter Nationals in Orlando. I think kind of the big story going into that is the new pro show that Superkarts USA is going to be doing with Kart Chaser. All the Pro X30 and Pro Shifter on-track events are going to be happening at the end of the day, including a open hot pit on Friday for their practice sessions. What is that kind of your thoughts and your focus going into that weekend?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of I think what a lot of the North American karting industry is looking at is this new format, see how that works. I think Stars is going to be doing something fairly similar in their programs, nothing from used PKS at the moment. So I think they're going to be holding with their 2023 scheduling.
USPKS announced in that prize package they press release, they did say they're going to stay with the standardized format of every category having the same schedule throughout so the schedule is going to be pretty much the same. So you get 4 practice sessions and qualifying on Friday, and then we'll get into the heat races for all the categories, including X30 Pro and Pro Shifter.
Yeah, and even just to have a little bit of differences between series is always good for everyone. Not to run the exact same format every weekend would be a bit boring. So good on you as PKS for that. It's a format that works. But back to SCUSA, I think it'll be interesting to watch to see how these pro drivers adapt and how the teams adapt to who will come out of the gates running with this new format and who's left on the back foot going into the second weekend of the Pro Tour. Will be definitely very, very interesting.
Yeah, as we saw, GFC was pretty stout on Challenge in Americas, and we know Formal and Morgato were kind of the stars at the SCUSA Winter Series. So we get those together, get back with AJ Myers and Magic Kart program, and probably a few others that will be down in Orlando. So that's certainly going to be fun, and of course, always the competition level on X30 is going to be great again. And we'll see who's going to be able to stand up and be the decisive drivers that'll compete for this year's Pro Tour Championship. With that, we'll wrap up our show. Again, exciting couple weekends coming up, back-to-back weekends, going to Tucson, going to Orlando, and then again, looking ahead to what will be another busy 2024 season. Nate, any final words as we wrap up our show?
Just looking forward to the pro show and what comes in Orlando with the Norberg Invitational coming the weekend before, giving some drivers a bit more track time at Orlando this year. And then obviously the Pro Tour and maybe the Florida Winter Tour after that. A lot of Orlando this year, maybe not as much as last year, thankfully, but I don't know. I'm just looking forward to this, how compact this schedule is in this early parts of 2024. A lot of racing, a lot of close racing throughout all classes and all series that run. So just looking forward to the next weekend where you get to watch some karting, really.
Yeah, it'll be exciting back-to-back weekends for myself. Again, Challenge in America, SCUSA Pro Tour. So that's what I'm looking forward to getting. And then daylight savings time. That's going to be the real pain in the butt, really, is Sunday in Orlando, losing that hour of sleep. So we're going to have to be on our game all weekend long and prepared for that loss of an hour as we do the daylight savings. So that's how I'll end the show. Daylight savings. It sucks. I like it, but I don't like it. Yeah, so with that, we'll wrap up this week in karting. Again, it has been episode 75. So for Nate Dean, I am David Cole. Thank you for tuning in.